Okay everyone, it's the part you've all been waiting for, how to add a shop GUI to your Piggy game on Roblox. So you'll be able to buy skins, traps, you'll be able to save them, equip certain ones, and you get them showing up in the GUI as well, and different traps will be able to do different things, be able to keep you trapped for longer. Some can be invisible. You can create your own traps, your own skins, load them into the shop, sell things for Piggy tokens, save it all. It is going to be brilliant, so you don't want to miss this tutorial. Now, I just want to say before we begin, if you are going to make your own Piggy game, try and be original, okay? Don't go using the Piggy name, because there's already a Piggy game by Minitoon. Be original. Try and make it into something else. You know, if you're using my maps, try and make them different. Don't just use the maps I've made. Try and make your own. You know, make it original and make it fun, because if your game isn't original, nobody's going to want to play it. And also, this is going to be the last video in my Piggy series. All things have to come to an end, and you know, no matter how many more videos I do, there's always going to be people who want me to make videos on a certain feature. You know, at the end of the day, you're going to have to start learning how to script yourself. And although you shouldn't, you know, just stop watching because this is the end of the series, you're going to learn how to make an awesome shop and how to use data stores and things like that in this tutorial. You know, I can't keep on making this series, so this is going to be the final one. So, you know, I'm sorry about that, but I have got a full 23 part and counting beginner series, which you are going to want to check out. And I've also just started on an advanced series as well, so there's a lot for you to dig into if you want to learn how to code yourself, so you can code features yourself and start making your own Roblox games, because this is a great way to get yourself into making Roblox games. But then also, if you want to develop on that and advance your scripting knowledge so that you can make your own games from scratch without my support, then you can watch those series. So let's just get straight into the actual shop GUI development itself. So to speed up the tutorial, I've created the shop GUI. We're going to have to script it though, so that's what you've got to watch the video for. But if you go to the description, I'll put a link to the model. Go and take that model, and then when you're inside your Piggy game, go to the toolbox, click on the 4 squares icon, go to My Models, and then click on the Admin Blocks Piggy Shop. Now this will insert a frame and a text button into probably your workspace. So take these two elements and drag them into the main GUI, okay, main GUI, and you will see that it appears. What we need to do is we need to start scripting this shop. And so firstly, we're going to begin by scripting the Piggy tokens, or the cash, or the currency in the game, which will be used to purchase the items. So in the event handling script, just at the top here, just before the in menu part inside the player added event, we're going to create our Piggy tokens. So you can call them whatever you want. I'd recommend that you call them something different to Piggy tokens, just like you're calling your game something different, because we don't want every game to be a clone of Piggy. We want to be original. So name your variable. I've just said Piggy tokens equals instance.new int value. In fact, we can say Piggy tokens.name and then set it as tokens as a string, and then set the value of it to 1,000, just so that we have some tokens to test our shop with, and we're going to parent it to the player. So it's created that currency int value, which will hold the amount of currency that we have. Next, we're going to want to insert a folder into the player, and this is going to be where we're going to keep their traps and their skins, the skins that they've bought. We can put a value in there with the name of the skin, so we have a collection, or like an inventory of the player's skins, so we know what skins and traps they have. So trap inventory equals instance.new folder, trap inventory.name equals trap inventory. I've had a capital T and a capital I for trap and inventory, so make sure that you got the capitalization correct. And trap inventory.parent equals player. Now, because we need to do the same thing for the skins, we can copy and paste that code, and we're going to change it so that this time it creates a skin inventory. So skin inventory equals instance.new folder, skin inventory.name equals skin inventory. again capital S and capital I, and then skin inventory dot parent equals player. So we've inserted the two folders which are going to hold the traps and the skins that we've bought. We also need to track the skin or the trap which is currently equipped. So we're going to have a value in the player which will hold the name of the currently equipped trap or skin. So let's create the first one. Local equipped trap equals instance.new string value. String value will hold text, and because text is a string data type, that's why it's a string value. So a string value will hold text, in this case the name of the trap, which is equipped. Equipped trap.name equals equipped trap, again capital E and capital T, and equipped trap.parent equals player. And we can do the same thing we did before, just copy it and paste it, but change the equipped trap to equipped skin. So we now have 5 new things which we've inserted into the player: the tokens, the trap inventory, the skin inventory, and the equipped trap and equipped skin. So if you play the game and you go into players and you find your player, you will see that we now have the skin inventory, trap inventory, equipped skin, equipped trap, and tokens. Now, they don't have to be called exactly equipped skin, equipped trap for a reason. That's just the name that I've decided to call this value. And it's a good idea that you use the same names, because in other scripts, when we're referencing these values, you might get confused if you've named yours something different. So they are the main things we need to have, because now we have a way to track the amount of tokens or coins that a player has, so we can use that in the shop when they buy something. For now, I'm going to set the shop frame, its visibility, I'm going to set that to invisible so that we can just work with our map, because we need to now create some more characters. And a lot of people have been asking, how do you create more characters? It's very simple. So what I do is, well, there's 2 ways you can do it really. You could make a clone of the piggy, and if we take the piggy here and bring it into the workspace, what you can do is open it up, and you can see we've got these parts for the head. Now if you wanted to change the head, well, you could delete everything inside the head like that, okay? And the piggy's head is currently invisible, and it's just a square. So let's say I wanted to insert a hat onto the piggy. Well, what I could do is I've got a plugin called Insert Asset from the toolbox. And if you go to Toolbox, Plugins, you should be able to find it. If not, you can search for it. I'll leave a link to it in the description as well. So I'll leave a link to it in the description. If you take the plugin, it will then be in My Plugins, and you'll be able to insert it. Okay, so insert asset. You then put the asset ID of the hat. So you go to the hats page on Roblox, and in the web bar, there's going to be the string of numbers. That's the ID of the hat. You put the hat ID in there, click confirm. It's going to insert it, okay, into the workspace. So if I just make the head invisible for now, and I take the pastel shaggy, and I'm going to use the rotate and scale tools to make it bigger. I might actually need to go into the handle and change the scale of the mesh. There we go. And I'm going to turn it around like that. Okay, you then need to put it inside of the piggy, like that. And let's see if it works. Oh, whoops, we forgot to put the piggy on here so he doesn't fall off. Okay, it seems to be working okay. Let's just rotate to make sure it doesn't fall off. Nope. So now you can see, because it's an accessory, it's stuck itself, it's kind of welded itself to the piggy. Now if I wanted to remove the dress, I could get rid of the torso mesh, and then the right arm, right leg, all the body parts, I'm going to make sure transparency is set to 0 so we can see them. So you can see now I'm starting to edit the piggy. So play around with it. My piggy here isn't the best because I haven't taken much time to improve it, but you can see where this is going if you want to create more characters. So I'm going to name this Shaggy Man, and I'm going to put him. So we're going to move our skins from server storage. We're going to create 2 folders. One folder is going to be called skins, and the other one is going to be called traps. Okay, it has to be in replicated storage. Then I'm going to put my Shaggy Man into the skins folder, as well as the normal piggy. And I'm going to take my bear trap and put that into replicated storage.traps as well. Now, once I've done that, we're going to need to start working on the shop GUI. But before we do that, we need to actually have some information in our skins and traps, because we need to have a cost for each skin. So inside the piggy skin, I'm going to insert an int value. I'm going to call this value cost, and you can change the value to however many tokens you want this skin to cost. So if I want it to cost 52 tokens, I'll change it to 52. Just make sure you copy and paste the cost into every skin and every trap, and then you can individually edit the cost of each skin. Okay, so I've now got a cost value in each skin and each trap. Okay, let me show you how this shop frame works. So inside of it, we've got 2 frames which cover the whole of the GUI. One's called skins and one's called traps. Now inside each frame, there's a folder with a UI grid layout, and we're going to have some, basically like a template frame for the skins, and they're going to go in here. And the grid layout is going to make it look like a grid. So you've got like one here, and then you've got another one next to it, and another one next to it, and then it goes onto a new line. So when you click on the skins button, it will make the skins frame visible, and the traps frame will go invisible. And when you click on the traps button, the traps frame will go visible, and the skins frame will go invisible. So what we will do is we will write a script which will get all of the skins, all of the traps out of replicated storage, and we will create these template frames for them. Now in your shop, you should actually see the local script called client shop, and the template should be inside of there because I've put it inside of there, but the script currently has nothing in it. But if we take this template and we put it inside skins in the folder, you can see what happens. It becomes it's one of your shop frames. It's one of your items, and if you were to duplicate them, you can see the grid layout is putting them in order. So I'm just going to have one of them. And inside of here, we've got a viewport frame so we can actually see the skin, a button that you can click, a cost text label, and a title as well for the name of the item. So we're going to just put this template back into the local script because we don't want to have it visible when there's nothing currently in our shop. We need to clone it out for each item there is. So firstly, let's go and make some variables. Variables are quick references to things that we will be using in our script. So firstly, we want a variable for the shop, which is going to be script.parent, because it's the parent of the local script, the shop frame. Then we're going to want to get the skins frame. So skins equals shop, wait for child, skins. We have to say wait for child because the script may be running before that frame has loaded into the game, and we don't want any errors. Then we're going to do another one for the traps frame. So traps equals shop, wait for child, traps. And then we're going to create 2 variables for the 2 buttons, the skins button and the traps button. So local skins btn for button equals shop, and you can call your variables whatever you want again, but you might get confused when I start using my variables and you're using yours. You might write one of my variables when you've not defined it yourself. You defined it as something different. So that's why I just recommend that you write your variable names the same as mine, just so that we're on the same page. So skins button is shop, wait for child, skins button. And the same thing again, local traps button equals shop, wait for child, traps button. We are then going to also need a variable for that template frame, which we just saw, and that's inside of the script. So local item template equals script colon wait for child, not script.parent, just script, because it's inside of the script. We can say script wait for child template, because the script is the current local script and the template is inside of it. Right, next we're going to code the skins button and the traps button so that when we click them, we can make either the skins frame or the traps frame visible or invisible. So skins button dot mouse button one down, sorry, mouse button one click. When you click the left mouse button, this event we're firstly going to hide the traps menu. So traps.visible equals false. And then we're going to want to show the skins menu. So we're going to say skins.visible equals true. And if you're wondering, these are comments with the 2 hyphens. They're ignored by the script, but they're just there so that we can understand what the code is doing, like a little note to ourselves. We can then just copy this event and paste it, but we need to change a couple of things, because this is going to be for when you click the traps button. So we'll change skins button to traps button just down here. And then when we do click the traps button, we want we want to firstly hide the skins menu. So skins.visible is false, but we want to show the traps menu. So traps.visible equals true. So now we won't be able to see it, but because there's nothing in the frames yet. But when we click one of the buttons, it's going to appear and the other one will disappear. Next, we need to get all of our items so we can show them in our shop. And because we put them in the replicated storage, that means that they're visible to the client, which is our local script and our player, but it's also visible on the server. So we can, well, because the server can edit them, we can't change them, but we can see them. So we can see all of the items and traps, so we can easily get them in our local script. So local skins data equals game.replicated storage .skins :get children. This is going to return a table of all the skins. And then we'll do the same thing for the traps data. Local traps data equals game.replicated storage .traps :get children. And again, this will return a table of all the traps in the game. And if you were to loop over these with a for loop, and you would print out the name of each item, it would print out the name of every skin in the game. So this is just a simple way of getting all of the skins and all of the traps so that we can create an item template. We can create a frame for each item, for each skin and for each trap, and we can put it inside either the skins frame or the traps frame. Now we're going to create a function which will clone the item template and fill in the information for one of our skins or one of our traps, and then we can call it multiple times for each skin. So function create frame, and this function, make sure it adds the end on. We're going to have some arguments, parameters actually. So we're going to need some data for each skin or trap so that we can create the frame. We're going to need its name. We're going to need its cost. We're going to need the actual object itself if we want to show it in a viewport frame. And we also need its parent, where it's going to be parented to. So the whether it's the skins frame or the traps frame. So we will pass this data to the function when we call it. But what we'll do is we'll just create a variable for the frame that's going to be cloned. So frame equals item template clone. Frame.name equals, it's going to be the name of the skin or the trap. Frame.title.text, and if you look in the template, we've got a title text label, and that is because it's going to show the title of the name of the skin at the top. So that will just be name again, but frame.cost.text is going to be the cost of the item, which we will pass to the function. Now, then we're going to set up, well no, we won't set up yet, but we will just parent the frame to either the skins or traps frame. So we will pass that to the function. So for now we can just say parent. And then we're going to return the frame to wherever we called the function from. So if we were to call the function like this, the frame would then be held in the new frame value. So the new frame, if we were to later call it or use it, or reference it, sorry, it wouldn't be calling the function, it would be the frame which we made. So if I wanted to change the visibility of that frame, I could then say new frame dot visible equals true, and it would change for that frame because we've returned it. So now that we've created the function to create that frame, we can loop through all of the skins in the game and create the frame for each skin or trap. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function called add skins, and we'll also have another function called add traps. But in each function, we're going to loop through the skins data or the traps data, and we're going to create the frame for it, obviously. But then we're going to set up an event for when you click that frames button to see whether you've already bought it or whether you need to equip it. So whether you need to buy the item, whether you need to equip the item. So when in the add skins function, we're going to have a parameter called data, and that will be the skins data, which we will pass to it. But then we will say, we'll loop through the data. So for I, V in pairs data, do, and what we're doing, we're looping through everything in that folder in the replicator storage. So for every skin inside of here, we're going to create a frame for it. So local frame equals create frame, and we're going to pass the name of the model of the skin, the value of the cost value's value inside that skin, and the object itself, and also skins.folder, because the third argument was the object itself, which we're passing, but the fourth object is going to be where it's going to be parented to. So because it's a skin, it's going to go into the skins frame. So skins here, but it's going to go into the folder because that's where the UI grid layout is. So it's going to go in there, and that's how it's going to be added into the GUI, and that's how it's going to appear in that grid. So if you were to then call the add skins function and pass the skins data to it down here, let's just do a wait 5 seconds so we can see it happening, and we play the game. Wait 5 seconds. You can see they get added in, and you can see that the cost is there, the title is there, and each one has its own cost and title. We haven't done the traps yet because we haven't coded that function, and we haven't done the clicking yet of the button to make you buy the item or equip the item. But good start so far. In fact, for now, I'm going to remove the add traps function because we're just going to be working with the skins for now. So the next thing we need to do is we need to set up the event for when you click the button in the frame. So frame.button.mouse button one click :connect function. So when the button gets clicked, any code inside of here is going to run, and we need to call a remote event which is going to buy the skin for us. It's going to complete the transaction, going to check if we have enough money to buy it on the server so that it's secure and can't be exploited. So we're going to go to the replicator storage, and we're going to insert a remote event. I'm going to call this remote event. In fact, no, we're not going to do a remote event. We're going to do a remote function. We're going to do a remote function because a remote function will allow us to send data back to the client. In this case, we need to send back whether the purchase was successful and whether the item was equipped because they already own it, or whether it was bought because they don't own it yet. So I'm going to call this remote function by skin. Okay, and we're going to say game inside of this mouse button one click event. We're going to say game dot replicator storage. Sorry, local result, because it's going to return something. So something will be returned to the result variable, equals game dot replicator storage dot buy skin :invoke server. And then we need to pass the name of the item we're going to buy to this remote function, so we can look it up on the server. So it's going to just be v.name, because if we're creating these events for every single item that we're looping through, it's going to pass the name of that specific item when it's clicked. Okay, so v.name is going to be the name of the current item that they've clicked. So what we can then do is start coding the transaction stuff on the server. Right, so I've actually decided that I'm going to rename the buy skin to buy item, because I thought we can consolidate the buying of the traps and skins into one remote function, because then that way we will just, it will be better than having two, because it's just more efficient and it will require less code. So I'm going to call my remote function buy item, and now let's go in and do the server coding. Right, so in the event handling script, I'm going to, hold on, my scrolling seems to have broken in the script. Let's open it back up. There we go. So at the bottom here, I'm going to say game.replicatorstorage.buyItem, because that's our remote function, .onServerInvoke equals function. Okay, and no bracket needed on the end of that end. So inside of the brackets, the parentheses, we need some parameters, and the first one is automatically sent. That's the player that invoked the remote function. Then we're going to have the item name, and also we need to have the item type, so whether it's a skin or a trap. Now what we can do is, oh, and by the way, when we do call this invoke server, we will pass the player, which gets passed first automatically, so we don't write it. So this will be the second argument, the name of the item, and then when we call it, we will either say skin or trap, and that way we can check whether the third argument is skin or trap, and if it is, we know that we are going to be buying or equipping a skin or a trap. So in here, firstly, we need to have a variable called local item. Then what we'll do is we'll check to see if the item type is a skin or a trap. So if item type equals skin, then we know it's a skin. Else if item type equals trap, then we know it's a trap. And what we'll do inside of this if statement is if it's a skin, we'll look in the skins folder in replicated storage for the item. So game.replicatorstorage.skins, wait for child, find first child. In case it isn't there, it won't error if we use find first child. And we'll just say item name like this. So if we find the item, we'll set item to be equal to that object. And I haven't put the local here because I've defined it outside the if statement. I've done that because if I was to use the local and define it inside the if statement, it would be limited to this if statement, so I wouldn't be able to look at its value or reference it from outside the if statement, which is why I've declared it within the event, but not within the if statement, so it can be accessed inside the if statement and also outside of it. If it's a trap, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to look it up, but instead of it being in game.replicatorstorage.skins, make sure that it is game.replicatorstorage.traps. Okay, so make sure skins, traps, it's different on each line. So what this is doing, it's checking if we are buying a skin or a trap based on the item type which we provided to the remote function when we invoked it from the client. So we're either going to say skin or trap, and then it will find the item for us. Okay, then we need to check to see if the item is already equipped. Sorry, not if it's equipped, if you already own it, so that we can equip it. Because if you already own it and you find this remote event, you're obviously going to want to equip it, but if you don't own it yet, you're going to want to buy it. So we need to check to see if the item is either in your skin inventory or it's in your trap inventory. Now, we have to do an if statement inside each of the ifs here, so one here and one here, to check if it's in the skin inventory or if it's in the trap inventory. So if player.skin inventory find first child item name, so if it's in your inventory, because when you buy it, we'll put it into your inventory very soon, then what we'll do is we'll create another variable, just like we did with the item, and we'll call it in inventory. So we'll just declare it there first. And then if it is in your inventory, we'll say in inventory is true. And we'll just copy this line and put it over here as well in the trap section. But we'll change the skin inventory to be trap inventory. So if the trap name, so if we're going to put a value into your trap inventory or your skin inventory, a value object like a string value, which is set to the name of the trap or the skin. And so we can check, so we use it as a way to see what skins or traps you currently own. So we can check that folder to see if you own it. And if you do, we'll set this variable to be true, so that later on we can check if in inventory is true, and if it is, we know that you've already bought it, so you can later equip it instead of buying it again. So now that we've done that, what we'll do is outside of the big if statement there, we're going to check to see if the item is an actual real item. Because we could call it, or an exploiter could try and call it, with a fake item name. So if the item is there, and it's a real item, it's definitely there, then we need to see if you have enough money to purchase it. So we'll say if item find first child cost, then, and then inside of there, because it has to have a cost value, don't forget, because we put a cost value inside each skin and each trap called cost, and we set its value to its price. So that's how we're going to set the price of objects. So if it has got a cost value, then we're able to check if we have enough money to buy it. Now we're also just going to quickly check if it is not in your inventory, because we only want the player to be able to buy it if it's not already in their inventory. If they already do have it, then they've already bought it, so what's the point in buying it again? So because we create that in inventory variable, we now know whether the item is already bought by somebody, because we've checked to see if it's in their inventory. So if the variable in inventory is true, we know they already own the item. So a way to check if the item is not true, so if it's false, is by saying if not in inventory. So if not in inventory, so not means, so not inventory will mean if in inventory is equal to false. So it's the same as saying if in inventory is equal to false. So we'll just say if not in inventory, because it makes more sense. If it's not in your inventory, then we will check to see if we can buy it with enough points. But else, if it is in your inventory, we know that you already own it, so we want to equip it. We'll get onto that later. But what we want to do is we want to now check if it is not in your inventory. We want to check if you have enough money to buy it. So we can say if item dot cost, because that cost value inside the item which we added, dot value is less than or equal to player dot tokens dot value. If you named your token something different, maybe you named it cash, you'd say cash, but I've called mine tokens. So if the item's cost is less than or equal to the amount of money we currently have, so if the item cost 50 and we had 60, then this would be true, because 50 is less than or equal to 60. So if you have enough money, then we're going to print you can buy this, and then we need to subtract the money from your balance. So we say player.tokens.value equals player.tokens.value minus item.cost.value. We're taking the cost of the item away from your current tokens balance. And again, change the tokens to the name of your currency if you've named it something different to mine. So you change the tokens to something like cash or whatever you've called it. But I'm going to keep mine tokens because that's what I've called mine. Now that we've taken the money away, I said earlier we're going to put a value into the trap inventory or the skin inventory. That's what we're going to do now. So local string value. Going to create a variable for this string value. We're going to create the value by saying instance.new, creating a new object. We're going to insert a string value, that's the class name. String value.name, we're going to set the name of this string value to be the same name as the thing we've just bought. So we can say item.name. Then, well, because we know whether it's a skin or a trap, we can do another if statement check to see if item type equals skin. So if it's a skin, then we'll say string value dot parent equals player dot skin inventory. But else if the item type is a trap, if it's a trap, we're going to put the string value parent into player.trap inventory. So depending on the item type, it's either going to go into the skin inventory or the trap inventory. So if you try to buy it again, we'll check to see if you have this item already in your inventory. And if you do, then it won't let you buy it again, because this if statement here, if not in inventory, will only let you buy the item if it's not already in either your skin or trap inventory. So adding that value just helps, basically only allows the player to buy an item once, so they don't keep losing money. Once we've done that, we're going to return back to the client, because it's a remote function, not a remote event. We're using a remote function so we can send a message back to the client, back to our client shop local script, to say whether it was a success and we bought the item, or whether we equip the item instead. Because if you already own the item, we're going to want to equip it, not buy it again, so we can tell the local script what happened. Did the player buy the item successfully? Did the purchase fail because we didn't have enough money? Or the item wasn't a proper item? Or did they just equip the item? So we can return a message, a string. It can return any data, but in this example, in this case, we're going to return a string message, and then we can check that message on the client, and if it said equipped, we could change the GUI to say it got equipped, but if it was bought, we could change the GUI to say it's now owned. Do you get what I'm saying? So we can return, you can return whatever you like. I'm going to return the message bought, and I recommend that you do the same, and you return the same values as me, because if you check for something else, and you don't do what I've done, of course you can, but some people will make their own values, and then they'll make mistakes because they're trying to check what I'm checking for, even though they've changed their values from what I've said. So I'm going to return bought, and I recommend you do as well. And that's just, we can check to see if it was bought, then we know that it was a success. Else, in this if statement here, else if you don't have enough money, we can return failed, because the purchase obviously didn't go through because you didn't have enough money. And over here, in the you already own it part for the else statement for if not in inventory, we know that you already have this item in your inventory. So we can print out, you already own this item. Okay? And what we can do is, because if you've clicked the button and you already own the item, you're going to want to equip it. If you already own it and you've clicked the button, you want to equip the item. So, firstly, we need to check again whether the item type is a skin or a trap. So, if item type equals skin, then we can equip the item by setting the player's equipped skin value to the item name. Because it's a string value and it will take text only, we can set the value of that string value, which is the equipped skin value, to the name of the item which we're going to equip. Else if item type is a trap, then we're going to say player.equippedTrap.value equals item name. So what we're doing is we're setting the player's equipped value so that we can know which item they currently have equipped, and then we can just return back to the client in a string the word equipped. And it doesn't have to be the words bought, failed, or equipped. It's not like you only have the choice. You could return whatever you want. So you could return transaction success, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, loads of numbers. But so that we know what we're doing, and we can just return simple messages which tell us whether it was a success or not. So we know that when we invoke this remote function, it's going to return back to the client. This result variable is either going to be equal to the string bought, failed, or equipped. Okay, and also if the item is not there, we'll also just return failed, and that there was no skin / trap of such name found, in case we call the remote function with a item that isn't there for some reason. So what will happen is we will invoke the remote function, and if everything goes well, it will return bought. Or if it doesn't go well and something fails, or we don't have enough money, it will return failed. And if we equip the item, it will return equipped. And that one of those messages will be the result. So the result variable will be one of those messages, because whatever gets returned is set to this variable that calls it. So if we were to print result and we test it out, and we wait for the shop to be populated because it takes 5 seconds. There we go. Let's open up the output, and if we click on Shaggy Man, for example, by the way, let's have a look at our cash, our tokens, sorry. Watch the value when I click the buy button. So it says you can buy this, and then it says bought, and it's taken the money away. We don't see anything in the shop though. That's because we haven't coded it yet to show the result. But the good thing is that it's printed out, you can buy this, so it knows that it's not already in our inventory, we haven't already bought it. And then it takes the money away, and then it returns bought, and then because we returned it and we print out the result is now equal to bought, whereas it could have been failed or equipped. So we can use those messages that we've returned to tell us what happened. And when we know what happened on the client, we can show something on the GUI. So we could show that a tick, a tick on the template button, and we could change the text on the cost to say that we now own the item, or we now have the item equipped. So to do that, we can say if results equals bought, then we know that the purchase was a success. Else if result is equal to equipped, then you equip the item. Okay, and we're not going to bother with purchase failed, because if the purchase failed, we don't need to show anything on the screen. So if they've bought the item, we are going to set the frame. There's a button inside the frame. If you have a look here, shop, client shop. If I drag this template into the skins, into the folder here, this is the button. The button has an image, and currently that image is a shopping cart. What if we wanted to make it a green tick though? I've uploaded a green tick. I've taken a green tick from the Roblox library, and I'm going to create these two variables at the top of my client shop script. And these are the two asset IDs for the shopping cart and the green tick. So I'm going to put these in the description for you, so you can copy them and put them into your local script just at the top here in the client shop script. Now, because these are Roblox asset IDs, we can update the image of the button with them. So when the purchase is bought, and when the result is bought and we know it was a success and you've now bought the item, we can set the image property of the button to the green tick. And then we can set the text of the cost. So this here, this cost text, we can change it to say owned, because you now own the skin or the trap because you've bought it and it was a success. Now, if you've clicked the button again and it's equipped the item for us, we want to again set the image to a green tick, in case it wasn't already a green tick, and set the text of the cost text label to equipped, like this. So if you click it again, it will change from saying owned to equipped. Okay, so now let's check it again. I'm going to take the template. Make sure you do this. Take the template out of skins, out of the folder. Make sure it's always in the client shop local script, else it's not going to work. You might have forgotten, and it might not be working for you, and that might be why. I've also got a video on my channel about how to fix bugs or errors. If you encounter bugs in your Piggy, don't be disheartened by them. Everybody's going to get bugs at some point on some projects. So check out that video on my channel when you finish this one if you have a bug, and don't give up. So if I click the buy button now on Shaggy Man, you can see it's changed to a green tick, and it now says that I own it. Now I can do the same thing on the Piggy, and I own that one as well. Now let's go into our player in game.players, and we currently have nothing equipped. Now if I click on Shaggy Man again, it says equipped, and now my equipped skin value is the Shaggy Man. If I was to equip the Piggy, now the Piggy says equipped, but you can see Shaggy Man still says it's equipped. So we need to clear the other GUIs. We need to get rid of this equipped text when we equip a new item. So in order to do that, in the equipped section here, what we can do is we can change the other frames in the skins or traps folder. So what we'll do is we will say for no, we won't do that because we've already got a for loop going. We will say for underscore, comma, object in pairs, and we will loop through skins.folder : get children. Do if object is a frame and the object has a cost text inside of it. So if it's a template and it has a cost text label inside of it, then we know it's not the UI grid layout. We don't want to delete that, or try and change a property that it doesn't have. So if it does have a cost value inside of it, then we can check, object, not obj. If it does have a cost value inside of it, then we want to check to see if it's in your inventory, in your skins inventory. So if game.players.localplayer.skin inventory find first child object.name, because we could have a skin in there which we don't own, but we're still trying to update it anyway. So we don't want to update these skins that we don't own. So if we own that skin, then we know that we own it. So we want to change it from being equipped back to being owned. So we can say object.cost.text equals owned, and that way it will only update the ones that we haven't bought. So instead of setting them all back to be owned, because you can't really tell which ones are currently owned. Well, you could, but it would take a bit more code. A good way to just update the ones that we know are already owned are just by checking if we own the name of each object in our skin inventory. Now, because this is for adding the skins, not the traps, we'll have a separate function that does the traps, which is kind of the same thing. So what this will do is, again, set the other frame templates in the skins folder. If they are equipped, because we've just equipped a new item, we're basically setting them to look like they're unequipped, because they are, because we've got a new equipped value. And then that's all we need to do for the equipping. So if we go and try it out again, we'll have to wait 5 seconds, of course, for the items to be loaded in, because that's the wait that we've put on our local script for now. We will fix that later on, because we will only load the items once your data has been loaded from the data store. So we need to wait for the data store to be finished so we can load those items, and we haven't coded the data store yet. So if we click on an item, we own it, we can click it again. Oh, it doesn't seem to be working and coming up as equipped for some reason. Okay, let's check that out. So it says you already own this item. If not in inventory, so it's setting the equipped skin value, returning equipped. Oh, I know what's happened. Because we've set it to equipped before this for loop, it's immediately setting the new equipped frame to say equipped, but then it's instantly changing it back because we're looping through them all. So we need to loop through them all first, and then change the this frame, the specific frame which we now have equipped, to say equipped, else it's just going to instantly be reverted back. So let's try that once again. Bit of debugging for you there. So even I make mistakes, so if you make a mistake, don't feel down or anything. So we click it, we now own it, we click it again, and it's now equipped, okay? And we can tell because it's our equipped skin. But if we now buy another skin and we click equipped, you can see it's switched, because now the pig is equipped, it says owned on the Shaggy Man. And you can do it again, you can try and click it again, but it won't take your money because it knows that you already own it. So that's great. So we now are able to equip our skin. So soon we'll be able to, in another script, in a server script, when we choose a piggy, we'll be able to check their equipped skin value and look it up in the skins folder and load in their piggy, so to make them look like the piggy or the character that they've chosen. Now let's do the same thing with the traps. So I'm going to copy this function and I'm going to paste it underneath. And I'm going to change it from add skins to add traps. And we're going to change, now this is very important, watch what I'm doing. So I firstly changed the name of the function to add traps. I'm then changing in the by item invoke, I'm changing the second argument from skin to trap, that's really important. And then down here, where we've got the for loop to clear the other items from the to change them from equipped to owned in the skins folder, we're going to change the skins to be traps. And apart from that, that is everything. So now if we call add traps with the traps data and play the game again, it should be working for the traps. So click on play, and so we've got the skins. But it is adding the trap to the skins for some reason. So let's check this out. Let's see what we've done. We've obviously missed something. So add traps, and yes, here we are on the local frame equals create frame in add traps. We're parenting it to the traps folder. We need to parent it to the we've parented it to the skins folder, but we should actually be parenting it to the traps folder. So change the name of the function to add traps. Change the skins.folder to traps.folder, only in the add traps function. Leave the add skins function as it is. Change the second argument in the replicated storage.by item invoke server to be a trap. Change the for loop to be looping through the traps folder, not the skins folder. And also, one last thing, remember, down here where you're checking game.players.localPlayer, change that from skin inventory to trap inventory, because we're now checking the player's trap inventory. So quite a few things to change there, but this is going to add the traps to the traps folder instead. So wherever you've got skins, change it to traps, only in the add traps function though. So you should have two functions, one for adding the skins, one for adding the traps, okay? And there you go. So let's try it once more. And wait for them to be added. So there should be only two skins here. Yep. And if we click on traps, you can see we've got our bear trap. So let's go into our player, Alvin Blocks, and equip the bear trap. There we go. And let's equip a skin as well. Let's equip the Shaggy Man. So we now have an equipped skin, the Shaggy Man, and the bear trap, the equipped trap. Now, you can see if we try and buy them again multiple times, it won't take our money, but it will change the equipped values. So very, very cool. And that seems to be working perfectly now. Right, next I'm going to show you how you can load the traps and the characters into the game when you get chosen. So let's start by loading in your trap. Okay, so if you're the piggy and you get your traps, etc., how do we give you your own chosen trap? Because there could be a yellow trap, a blue trap. How do you get given that trap instead of the normal bear trap? So let me show you. So we know that when you place a trap, we are going to be in the event handling script. So in this script here, in the place trap event, what we're doing is we're going into the server storage, getting the bear trap out and cloning it. But the bear trap no longer lives in the server storage because we've now put it into the replicated storage. So what we need to do is we need to firstly get the player's equipped trap value if they have one. So let's just get rid of this for now, this local trap, but keep the other two lines for the C frame and the parent. But we're going to say if player.equipped trap.value is not equal, so one of these squiggly lines, so shift and hashtag, and then equals, and then an empty string, because when it's a string value, to check if it's empty, you just put two speech marks like that, and because it's an empty string. So if there is no, so if the equipped trap is not equal to nothing, so if it's not blank, and there is actually something that is equipped, and there is an equipped trap, then we're going to see if there is a trap in replicated storage.traps with the same name. So if game.replicated storage.traps :find first child, and inside of here we're going to say player.equipped trap trap.value. So if there is a trap in replicated storage with that name, then we're going to, let's have this variable called local trap. We'll define it outside the if statement so we can reference it later on down here outside of that if statement. So if there is a trap in replicated storage with that name, we're going to set the trap variable to be that trap. So game.replicatedStorage.traps, and then in square brackets, because we no longer need find first child because we know it's there for sure, player.equippedTrap.value, and then outside of the square brackets, clone. So it's going to make a clone of the trap with our name that we need, and that name is going to be the value of your equipped trap. So we've now managed to get the trap out of replicated storage by cloning it, and we found it by giving the name, and that name is actually the value of your equipped trap, which is why we're setting the value of equipped trap to the name of the GUI that you clicked, the frame that you clicked. And that way, because we've set it, we've stored it in a value in the player, we can access it from different scripts, which is why the equipped trap and equipped skin things are so important, and that's how we can get the trap and the skin that the player selected from other scripts by storing it like this. So now the trap that they will have selected will be C-framed, and it will be placed underneath their character on the floor, and it will also be parented to the map, just like any other trap would be. So let's test that out and see if it works. In fact, no, that wouldn't work yet because we've also taken the Piggy out of server storage, so it will error. So let me show you how we can set the Piggy character to be the one that they've chosen as well, and then we'll test it. Oh, actually, I forgot as well. If the player doesn't have a trap equipped, so in this else statement, we need to give them the default trap, don't we? So we need to say trap equals game.replicatedStorage, and for me, the default trap that you're going to get is going to be the bear trap. So game.replicatedStorage.traps. Basically, choose a trap that you want to be the free one, right? So in this case, my trap is going to be the bear trap. So I'm going to set the cost to be 0. And yeah, I'm going to say traps.bear_trap : clone. So even if you haven't bought one or equipped one, you're going to get the bear trap anyway because that is free. So, in fact, what you could also do is if you don't want this one to appear for sale, you could put this into server storage. You could keep the bear trap in server storage and change this to server storage. And that's going to be the default one that you get. It just won't show up in the shop. So I'm still going to have some traps in the traps folder, and we'll make that very soon. But I'm going to show you how you can make the Piggy become the character that you've selected. So in the game logic, in the round module, we are going to go to the dress Piggy section. Okay, dress Piggy. And what we currently do is we get the character from server storage. Obviously, it's not there anymore. So let's get rid of this local character line, keep everything else. But for now, we're going to create the variable local character, but keep it blank because we're defining it outside of the if statement, which we're about to make, so that we can access it from later on in the same function. Because if we were to define it in the if statement, we wouldn't be able to access it. It would be local to that scope, the scope of the if statement. So we're going to say if Piggy.equippedSkin, because Piggy is still the player, it's their player object, we've just named them Piggy. So if Piggy.equippedSkin.value is not equal to nothing, so a blank string, so if it is equal to something, then we're going to check in the replicated storage in the skins folder here to see if it is an actual skin that's in there. So to do that, very simple, all we need to do is say game if game.replicatedStorage.skins : find first child Piggy.equippedSkin.value. Then, so if you do have that, if that skin is there in the replicated storage in the skins folder, and it's a proper skin, it's a real skin, we can update the character variable to be game.replicatedStorage.skins, and in square brackets, Piggy.equippedSkin.value. So we're getting the skin out of the replicated storage using the name of the skin that they have equipped in their equipped skin value. So we can clone it out like that, and then in this first if statement, if we need an else, don't we? Because if they don't have a Piggy skin equipped, if their equipped skin is blank, which it could be if they're a new player, we need to give them the normal Piggy skin. So again, if you wanted the default skin not available to purchase, you can put it into server storage, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it back in server storage. Okay, I'm only going to put the Piggy in the server storage. If you wanted the Piggy to be available to purchase for free, even though they will already have it as a default, you could put it in there. And I'm just going to keep the cost at 0, because you're not going to be able to buy those two. So these two are going to be the defaults, so I'm going to keep them in server storage. But for anything else that you want to buy, okay, that would go in replicated storage. Okay? So, now that we've done that, we will be able to spawn the Piggy in as your skin. Let me show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the shop frame. I'm going to set the shop frame's visibility to be false. Then I'm going to go into the client shop. I'm going to go into the client shop. Yeah, I'm going to go in there. In fact, what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to go into the client main, because that's where we've done the rest of our button coding. And I'm just going to code the white shop button to open the shop. So I'm going to say script.parents : wait for child shop btn, because that's the name of the shop button, which is here inside of the main GUI. Dot mouse button one click : connect function. Then when you click it, we'll say script.parents wait for child shop dot visible equals not, and copy that. So what it's going to do is when you click the shop button, it's going to invert the shop's visible property. So the shop has a property called visible, and it can be either true or false. And so when it's false and you click the button, the opposite of false is true, so it's going to make it visible. And when it's true and you click it again, the opposite of true is false, so it's going to make it false again, so you can't see it. So a very simple way of how to make the button work. Anyway, let's go into test mode with an actual server and player. Okay, so I'm going to quickly, if I can. Oh, I might not be able to do it in time. I will be able to do it in time, don't worry. Okay, I've bought and equipped the Shaggy Man on both accounts. So whoever gets chosen as the Piggy should be the Shaggy Man. And the reason you're only seeing one, don't forget, is because we've taken the bear trap and the Piggy out of the shop because they're the defaults. So I'll show you in a minute how you can add your own characters to the shop. But let's hope this works. Look at that. The Shaggy Man the Piggy is now Shaggy Man, the character that we designed earlier. But also, one thing to note is that the animations will not work with other characters. In fact, they might work. I'm not sure. I don't think they will, though, especially if it's a different character to the Piggy, because you have to animate each character for the bat. Okay, it does work for this one, because I think the Piggy is he's wearing the same package as the Piggy was, and this was a very small reskin of the Piggy. But for some, you might have to redesign the animation for that one. But it seems to be working very well. So I will show you now how to add your own characters. And I've actually just realised that, as well, if you wanted to unequip the skin and you wanted to go back to the Piggy, then it's probably a good idea to leave the Piggy in replicated storage. I forgot about that, so I'm going to put the bear trap back into the traps folder in replicated storage, and I'm going to do the same with the Piggy. And we're going to go back to the place trap, and I'm going to change the server storage to replicated storage, okay, for the traps, and the same thing in the round module. In the dress Piggy, we're going to change that to replicated storage, because I totally forgot that if you wanted to unequip your skin, there's currently no way of doing that. So an easy way to unequip and go back to the default is to just allow the Piggy and the bear trap to be bought for free, so that if they equip something but they want to go back to the default, they have that choice. So that's why I'm going to keep the cost of the Piggy and the cost of the bear trap at 0. But how do you add your own new traps? Well, it's very, very simple. You're probably going to want your traps to do different damage and to keep people stuck for longer or shorter. So if you want to add a new trap, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just right click and duplicate the bear trap. I'm going to give it a new name. I'm going to call this one Invisi Trap. Okay, now this trap is going to be fully transparent, so you won't be able to see it. So I'm going to just bring it into the workspace so we can see it. I'm going to set its transparency to 1, or in fact it's going to be very, very faint, so you can only just see it like this. Then I'm going to go into the death script, and because you can't see it, it's got to have like a con. So the perk is that you can't see it, but the con is that it's going to only keep people stuck for a short amount of time, maybe 2 seconds. So if you want it to last for a different number of seconds, just go into the death script inside of it and change the weight here to 2. Well, not to 2, to any number you want. If you want it to last for 3 seconds, change it to 3. If you want it to last for 2 seconds, change it to 2. Not this one here, because this is one to make sure that you walk into the trap fully before it disables your walking. But this one here, after the humanoid.walk speed, you change this, it will change the amount of time that you get stuck for. You could also change the speed if you didn't want people to get stuck, but you maybe just wanted them to go slow for a while. You could change their walk speed, but I'm going to keep it at 0. So now that I've made my Invisi trap, make sure it's got a different name to any other traps. You can't have 2 traps with the same name, and just put it into the traps folder like that. That's all you need to do. And then if you play the game again, I'm going to play the game, and so here in the shop, I'm going to equip the Invisi trap for both players, and also the Shaggy Man, because why not? Everybody loves the Shaggy Man. In fact, let's make sure the Invisi trap is equipped. Yep. I'm going to buy the bear trap as well, but I'm going to only equip the Invisi trap. So, whoever gets chosen as the piggy should have their Invisi trap. There seems to be a bug. Piggy is not a valid member of replicated storage. I know exactly what's gone wrong here. So the problem is, we went into the replicated storage .traps, which was good for the traps, but for the piggy, we just said game.replicatedStorage.piggy.clone. We should have said game.replicatedStorage.skins.piggy::clone. Okay? So in the round module, in the dress piggy, it should be in the else statement, character equals game.replicatedStorage.skins.piggy::clone. We forgot the skins. Let's try again. So again, we're going to equip the Invisi trap for both players in case one of us is chosen as the piggy. So I'm going to own it, but I'm also going to equip it. Next round begins in 0 seconds. It's going to ask for the map voting, which we learned in a previous video, in the previous episode actually. So make sure you go on and check that out. And once this map vote is over, hopefully our piggy will load in and they'll be able to place the Invisi trap. I'll also equip the Shaggy Man, because why not? Okay, let's see if we get teleported. Here we go. And now, if I just wait to be spawned, you can see I've just spawned a trap in the waiting area, and you can hardly see it, but it is our Invisi trap. Very hard to see, but it is there if you look closely at the bottom of the screen. It is there. So it's spawning. Now let's just place a trap here. And if I walk into it, 1, 2, you can see I was only frozen for 2 seconds. So it's a different trap. It's a different trap. It doesn't get us for 5 seconds, only gets us for 2 seconds. So very, very easy to add more traps. I'm going to add a few more. Going to do a red trap. That's going to be fully transparent, but it's going to be red. We'll do a yellow trap, which is half transparent but yellow. And the yellow trap will keep you for 10 seconds, but the red trap will only keep you for half a second. Okay, so lots of different traps now. And if you try again, go into the shop, you will see in the trap section there is now lots of different traps, but they all have 0. They all cost 0. So I'm going to go and change the cost of. I'm going to keep the bear trap cost at 0, but the others are going to cost 50. There we go. Let's set this one to 50. I'll set the other one to 75 actually, so they're a bit different. So we now have lots of different traps available, which is awesome. So that's how you add more traps to the game. Very, very simple. Just put them into the traps folder, give them a different name, you know, change their properties if you want to change how they look. There we go. We've got our different traps now. You can equip a certain one. Perfect. And you can also go back to the bear trap if you want to. So, same thing goes for the piggy, of course. If you want to add a new character, let's go and add a new character. Why not? So we're going to copy and paste into the workspace. Let's just change the colours. In fact, we can make a ghost. We can have a fully white. Can we make it neon? No. We'll make it marble and transparent like this. We'll remove the shaggy and we'll go in the head. We'll set a special mesh called head. Set the scale to 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. Perfect. And I'm going to change the name to Ghost Pig, or just Ghost, like that. The cost for this one though is going to be 100. So you need 100 coins or tokens for that. And all I'm going to do is just put it inside skins. Play the game and click on play, shop, skins, wait for them to load because it takes 5 seconds, and there you go. You can now buy the ghost and you can equip it if you like. You can see the equipped skin is now ghost. The equipped trap, however, is not selected, but if I equip the yellow trap, there you go. So I've split this shop tutorial into 2 parts. So this was the first part, and you can go straight to the second part now by clicking the thumbnail on your screen. That is going to be the last video in this series. So go there now to learn how to finish your piggy shop. Thanks, and I'll see you there.